Hello and welcome to Unit 6. It is now time to dive a little deeper into the tools and take a moment to introduce to you our solution through a demo that we will run together from start to end. So let's first set the scene for that demo. We'll talk about purchase order creation. We deployed this use case to several customers who are complaining about the repetition of the tedious tasks, source of boredom and error. The process is simple. You receive many purchase orders every day, hopefully, and you need to classify the input data to decide how to process it. Then you study its content and associated attachments to extract relevant information. You insert it into a task queue, and finally, the task queue is used to record each purchase order in your ERP. It can be tedious when you have to do this many times in a day. For this demo, we are going to focus on the third phase, entering in ERP, which consists in automating the creation of a purchase order in SAP S/4HANA. In our demo, the purchase order data will be stored in an Excel file. This file will be read by the agent, who will retrieve the necessary data and then create the purchase order in S/4HANA. Okay? Now, let's open the tools. First of all, here are the two applications I will automate, an Excel sheet and a S/4HANA web session. And here is the desktop studio in which I just created a brand new project. I'm going to begin the design phase by capturing applications thanks to the Explorer perspective presented here. First, I declare a new application using the capture tool, and I call it S4HANA. Once done, I go back to Explorer and I can see in Captured Data View that S4HANA properties have been captured. And I can now select which criteria to use for the agent to recognize the presence of the application. Here I choose the domain name by double-clicking on it. I also indicate S4HANA Technology Framework to optimize recognition and steering abilities to our agent. It is now necessary to declare the different elements to automate in S4HANA application, which are the pages and the elements. So I launch the capture by double-clicking on this button. The capture tool pops up. The capture tool will be used to capture the pages by point and click while I navigate manually. First capture. When I click on capture button, the studio records the page and makes it available in my library with all its elements, buttons, text, fields, etc. I navigate now manually to the second page. Second capture. I continue the journey through S4HANA to capture all the pages that needs to be automated. This is the last capture. Now let's go back on the desktop studio. I see on the left side our three recorded pages: P-Home, P-Manage Purchase Order, and P-Purchase Order. The pages are in red because I have not defined their recognition criteria yet. So now I'm going to use their title as recognition criterion. The pages are now correctly declared. I can continue and for each page declare the elements that the agent will manipulate on behalf of the user. In the home page, I want the agent to select Manage Purchase Order tile. So I double-click on this tile and that creates automatically an object in the project library. The object will have automatic criterion, but I can change it if I want to make it more understandable or robust. For example, here I modify the ID criterion and add a criterion on the text property. And I do the same thing for each element that the agent will handle. You may also use the DOM tree in subtree view on the bottom right if you want to point to a very precise element which is difficult to catch by point and click on the page screenshot. This is the case here for these 4 fields: supplier, currency, purchasing group, and purchasing organization. So I have to select the correct web element for each one. I declare this plus button by another double-clicking because the agent will have to click on it. Now I need to declare elements that do not appear in my current capture. In fact, these elements show up after the user clicks on the plus button. So I need to create a new capture of the same page in a different state. To do that, I manually navigate through the application to display the correct page state. Here I can make my new capture with all necessary elements. I indicate that I want to add this capture instead of replacing the first capture of the same page. The second page state is now stored in the studio, and I can finish my declaration phase by adding the last 4 fields to be controlled. Here again, I use the subtree view to select precisely the web elements. And the last element to declare is the validation button. I can now step forward to the second phase of the design. It's simply about drawing the process thanks to the workflow perspective that you can see on the screen. I create a new workflow and set its name. The first step of the process is to open the Excel application. To do so, I drag and drop the adequate activity. Each activity contains a set of properties that can be seen in the Properties tab here. Here I have to indicate the file location, then to retrieve some cell values, I use the getCellActivity. In the Properties view, I have to indicate which cell I want to get and in which variable I want to store it. The variables are created in the context view. Here, I will create a data structure called purchase order containing the 4 variables I need. Going back to our getCellActivity, I can now affect the data to the adequate variable. I perform the same operation for the 3 additional getCellActivities, so let's do it. At the end, I ask to close Excel. Then it's time to automate S4HANA. I use the pages from the library and drag and drop them to create a visual representation of the journey through S4HANA. When I double-click on a page, a new view shows up. I can drag and drop the different actions to perform on the page elements. Here I ask the agent to click on the tile. After, I add a new step triggered by the loading of the next page. In this page, the agent will have to click on the plus button. I continue with the next page. Here the agent must set the 4 static fields of the top form and click on the plus button. The tool is graphical and allows to easily modify an activity or modify the execution sequence by drag and drop, as you can see. The design step needs further explanations. As you may have seen previously, when I clicked on the plus button manually, the new empty purchase order line did not appear instantly. Therefore, the agent has to wait until the field appears, otherwise it would fail trying to set a non-already loaded field. The question is now what the agent has to wait for. And the answer could be when the field material is displayed on the page, for example. The studio provides an activity corresponding to it. So let's use it to define the agent trigger. I use here the wait exist activity on the item material. This sort of asynchronous mechanism seems difficult to handle, but it's actually easy to manage it if you test your workflow frequently. Then I put a set activity to the material field and I indicate from which variable the data has to be retrieved. Here, from purchase order.material. The rest of the workflow is straightforward. I add a new activity for each other field to set. At the end, I click on the Order button. This is how the design phase ends. We have here a readable workflow containing the different activities linked one after the other. Now I switch to the editor perspective to generate the JavaScript code corresponding to the design we've just created. The compilation gave no errors, so I can run our agent in debug mode by clicking on the debug button. The desktop studio minimizes itself and lets the debug window appear. The project is now loaded and I can execute the automation from a menu in the sys tray. The purchase order is created as indicated in the result page. We have a successful project that records a purchase order from an Excel file. Until now, we acted as the automation designer. Now let's deploy this automation on a production environment and act as an end user. I'm going to show you how to deploy this automation on a user computer by using the Cloud Factory. Let's switch to the demo. Let's begin by exporting a package of the project. During the creation, I will make a tour of the Cloud Factory. The home page indicates that there is no reference package yet, and there is one registered desktop agent connected to the factory, which is mine. My desktop agent is in the preparing state, which means that it has not assigned packages. I will therefore import our new package. I set its name and click Import. The package is now uploaded to the factory. What I need to do is to create a configuration attached to this package that describes how, when and for whom it is available. I click on the Add Configuration button and complete the form. I select the environment I created previously that points to my machine. The execution mode and the authorized execution time range need also to be indicated. The configuration has been enabled, so I must now wait for the connection between desktop agent and factory. As explained in Unit 3, desktop agents and Cloud Factory are constantly connected via a secure WebSocket connection. Thanks to this connection, the desktop agent can check regularly what package it can retrieve. On the other hand, the Cloud Factory is able to trigger digital workers on desktop agents when some jobs are scheduled. Synchronization is frequent and should happen soon. That's it. We just saw a loading window that indicates that the package is being deployed on my computer. The agent status is now idle. This means that the digital assistant is ready to work. I'm going to launch it from my History menu and see how it goes. Finished. The automation went well. Let's quickly see what the monitoring has to show. The agent is still in the idle state, which means that it is available to run new jobs. A job was recorded 1 minute ago. It ended successfully and it lasted 29 seconds on my machine. And the home page has been updated to indicate that I have one package uploaded, one connected agent, and one job successfully executed. Let's recap on what has been achieved in this unit. In less than 30 minutes, we created a simple automation from scratch, including tests and validation. Along this demo, we have used the Desktop Studio and particularly its capture and workflow perspectives. Then we have uploaded the automation script to the factory and executed it on a desktop agent. Finally, we have checked the monitoring and seen that everything has been well. I want to conclude this unit highlighting one key advantage that really enforces productivity, and it is the maintenance of the automations. This is the ability to test your design almost immediately. This eases a lot the adoption of agile methodologies to deliver incrementally, and the debugger component plays a key role here. Taking benefit of it, it's now up to us to incrementally add new features to our use case, such as retrieving data from emails, for example, instead of the Excel file, or managing credentials in S/4HANA in order to log in automatically. But we'll keep these ideas for further courses or home exercises. Thank you for attending this unit, and we look forward to hearing from you about automations with SAP Intelligent Robotic Process Automation. The next session will be handled by Harsha, and he will present you an outlook for the next waves.